So get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Yes, get ready, my soul.
So it is. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Beautiful song, folks, beautiful. Your soul is ready. You realize that? You wouldn't be here today if that wasn't the case. You're ready. You're ready to go on a journey. You're ready for the quest. We started last week on a series of lessons that are going to take us through all of 2018. And it's really a quest for each and every one of us to move into a deeper and a richer awareness of our own unique divine nature. It's amazing as I think about, ways I've been in my life, the person I've been in my life, and ways I have shown up and ways I haven't shown up, and to realize that there's a part of me that is continually moving me in a direction that allows me to show up in different ways and to show up hopefully more in light and in alignment with that unique divine nature that we call the Christ. It's a term that we use in unity because we have a tendency to think that Jesus was the only expression of the Christ. But the reality was that he said, the things that I have done, ye shall do also and even greater things. And we're being called to that. We're being called to share more of our own unique divine nature. And that's what the Christ really is. It is that place within us where the divine is really knocking at the door of our consciousness, knocking at the door of our heart to move us deeper and fuller and richer, and to help us to experience life in ways that are beyond even our own limited imagination, although the imagination of God is 100% within every one of us. And we have the potential and the possibility of imagining so much more than we have a tendency to imagine for ourselves. And this week we're going to talk about one of the most significant things that can help us to move more fully into knowing ourselves and knowing the truth of our own unique divine nature. Tomorrow's Martin Luther King Day, and Martin Luther King, I believe, is probably one of the most influential and one of the most beautiful spiritual lights that we've had in this century. And his speech, "I Have a Dream," was a powerful statement of the great possibilities, not just for himself, not just for this country, but actually for humankind. And it's a way for us to really honor and to move into and to stretch and to be willing to step into that greater possibility. One of the things that recurs to me that when I think about Dr. King is that you get a lot of information about Dr. King and how he was such a transformative spirit in the world during that time. But one of the things that occurs to me is that it wasn't Dr. King who alone walked across that bridge in Selma. It's true, isn't it? And if you look, there were a lot of people with him. A lot of people who were there to support him and the vision that he had for the possibility of us as human beings. The possibility for freedom. And the freedom that is beyond our own limiting thinking. The freedom that is beyond our own limited beliefs. The freedom that is beyond our own preconceived ideas. The freedom beyond beyond prejudices. Freedom beyond restrictions. And the us and them kind of thinking that creates such havoc and such challenging and disappointing and troubling experiences in life. I don't know if any of you realize it, but we are still in that struggle. We're still in that struggle. And it's important for us to honor and recognize that struggle is not something that's just going on out here in the world. It's actually happening within each and every one of us. And one of the most significant things that you and I can do to really tune into and live into a greater possibility of ourselves is connecting with those of like heart and mind. Connecting with those who are really helping us to really see beyond our own limiting thinking, to see beyond our own limited possibilities that we have defined and set up for ourselves, to see beyond our ego consciousness that says that I'm this and no more than that. I came across a story when I'm preparing my lessons, and this is from Chuck Moss. It was written in the Detroit News. He says, "Inline skating provides thrills and cardiovascular conditioning and muscle tone, and it can also introduce you to a whole new set of friends. Ambulance drivers, emergency room technicians, physical therapists, as well as those nice neighbors in the block who call the emergency services." So, I'm being humorous, but one of the things that we have a tendency to do is we have a tendency sometimes to draw to us people who are there to help us, yes, but at times we draw to us people who are also, whether we realize it or not, invested in keeping us where we are. Keeping us stuck in our limiting patterns. Keeping us stuck in our poor me's. And I'm going to suggest to you that that's one of the things that we really, as spiritual beings, are here to break free of. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that everyone who is invested in keeping us where we are bad people. It's just that we all like our comfort zones, don't we? And I suspect, whether we realize it or not, we may have been doing that to others in our life as well. That we want people to show up and be who we think they are. And we get pretty invested in that, don't we? And one of the ways I talk about relationships, I talk about it more in terms of partnering relationships, but I think it's actually absolutely true in friendships as well. Our theme today is about friends. And we're going to explore a little bit more about what that means to be a friend. And one of the things that we do in terms of friendship is we invite people and draw people to us. We attract people into our experiences that are there for a very clear and specific purpose. And everyone that comes into our life is there because they are a part of our consciousness. Now that may seem a little deep for some people, and that's okay, but let me just suggest to you that everybody who shows up in your life wouldn't be there unless there was something within you that attracted them in some way, in some form. And in some cases you say, oh, that's really fantastic. Boy, I love those people. And then there's also those times when you kind of go, no, wait a minute, I didn't draw that person. I'm nothing like that person. They're just horrible. And I got news for you. Even if it's somebody that you've never even met before, but it shows up in the news, it shows up in your energy and your awareness and your consciousness because there's a purpose in that for you. That sometimes people say, well, there's a reason for everything, and I don't agree with that because reason is kind of a logical thing. That's what the intellect thinks. So it's not that there's a reason for everything, but there is a purpose for everything. And the purpose for everything is that everyone who shows up in our experience is there to reveal to us something that's going on in our energy and our consciousness, whether to celebrate it and to enhance it and to appreciate it and to value it, or to transform it and heal it. And to let it be transformed and to let whatever's going on inside of us that it brings up to be healed. So whatever's coming up in our lives is there to help us to see what's going on in our own energy, in our consciousness. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, Jesus said, creating your spiritual support group, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Sorry, I read the title of our lesson as a part of that. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Last week we talked about this understanding that name actually represents nature. Was it last week or the week before? Irrelevant. Name really means character. It really means our nature. So when 2 or more people come together with a particular energy, with a particular character, with a particular nature, the divine, the Christ, is there in the midst of them. And so when we come together for a purpose, when we come together with a particular energy vibration, we're there to lift each other into even a higher vibration. In a very real sense, we come together to create and form a third consciousness. We each have our own individual consciousness, but when we come together, we're actually creating another consciousness. And that consciousness can do one of 2 things. It can bring both of us up, or it can bring both of us down. And we get to choose. And if we tend to draw to us people who are there to show us where we are perhaps needing to adjust some of our ways of thinking, some of the energies that we hold, some of the particular patterns that we have in life that we tend to repeat over and over again, you know the ones I'm talking about. I don't have to. We all got them, right? We say, why is this happening to me again? Because we haven't let go of the pattern. Or because we let go of the pattern on this level, a little level, but there's more. And so we come back around in a spiral. We come back around to that particular kind of experience because there's something there that we still want to transform and to be transformed and to be transformed by. There's still lessons, as sometimes we say. We still have lessons in those experiences. And so if you think about it this way, in many ways, we're all brand new. And we talked about that last week in terms of starting over. Each day we have an opportunity to experience and express ourselves in a new way. And so we're like seedlings. And a seedling, you put it in the ground, but you want to make sure that it's surrounded by that which nourishes it. And that's what our friendships are intended to be. They're intended to be that soil in which we are putting the souls, our soul nature, our divine nature, in it in such a way that that we're being nourished, that we're being lifted. But the other piece of that is that we're also the soil for the seedling in others. And that it's our work to also be there to be nourishing and nurturing and supportive of those who are brought into our experiences, brought into our life for the same purpose, and that's to be and experience more of their own unique divine nature. One of the things it says on the quest, this wonderful work, and I shared with you these 2 wonderful books, and some folks have asked me, should I buy the books? And the answer is yes. You should buy the books and follow along with us, because there's a richness and a depth in these works that are actually beyond what I can do here on Sunday morning. And there's some great exercises, and I want to give you some homework today, but there's some great homework and great exercises that'll take you even deeper into the work. And so, yes, I do encourage you to get the books. And what you will find is it will actually help you to go deeper in some of the things that we're talking about. And so we're talking about really creating our own spiritual support system. Creating our own spiritual support system, because one of the things that we have become to understand is that living the aesthetic life, not aesthetic, ascetic is what I'm trying to word. My words are the ascetic life. That's the life of someone who basically goes off into the cave and meditates for years and years and years and really doesn't have a whole lot of interaction with life in the world. And that's one spiritual path, but it's not necessarily one that is recommended for most of us, because it really one of the things that I believe that the great spiritual teachers taught is that our spiritual work is really not off in a cave somewhere. It's really going into the silence and then coming back out again and sharing the light that comes to us in those times of stillness and quiet, and living it out in the world today, living it in our lives. You don't want to have one without the other. You don't want to be so far in the world that you forget to go off into your cave. And at the same time, you don't want to spend all your time sitting in the cave because the light doesn't really shine from that place unless you're out there letting it shine in your daily life. Does that make sense? And so part of our work is to really bring into our experiences those who will support us both in taking the time to pull aside, to pull back from the world, to not necessarily get ourselves so identified and caught up with the daily life, but to allow us to come into that life knowing our own unique divine nature and holding us in an awareness of the possibilities. Oliver Wendell Holmes says that, however, don't flatter yourself that friendship authorizes you to say disagreeable things to your intimates. The nearer you come into relationship with a person, the more necessary does tact and courtesy become. Except in cases of necessity, which are rare, leave your friends to learn unpleasant things from their enemies. They're already ready enough to tell them that. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. So one of the things we have a tendency to do is to, when we have friends, we're sometimes thinking that we don't want to say anything to that person that would upset them. And I'm going to suggest to you that's not necessarily being a friend. However, the opposite is also not true. That it's not your job as a friend to always point out the shortcomings of those around you. I can tell you that's a sure way to have not very many friends, right? And so there's a level of honesty and there's a level of balance that you want to tune into that is there to really speak the truth to someone and help them to see ways that they can actually experience more of their wholeness or break through from some place that they're stuck, and at the same time do that with compassion and with a clear knowing that they have the energy and the power and the consciousness and the divine nature within them to overcome it. And that ultimately your job is simply to reflect back that divine nature to them, to help them to see that that's the limiting experience, that the pain that they're going through is not the permanent situation of where they are, and it's not the power that exists within them. But to help them to see that they're going to be able to tap into that wholeness within themselves and use that as a tool for moving them past where they are in life. In our work, the Spiritual Support Group, it talks about the famous Eddie Rickenbacker. And he was a world-famous World War II pilot, and he crashed into the Pacific, and after leading a special mission, and he and his crew were in a life raft, I think it said for, if I'm not mistaken, for like 21 days. And so they were out in the ocean, not knowing where they were, not knowing what direction to try and go. And it says that each one of them had their own different ideas and beliefs. Some of them didn't believe in God at all, and some were very devout. But working together, they realized, each and every one of them, that they had found the divine in some way by the end of that 21 days. And so one of the things that happens in a situation in life, in a circumstance in life, that when we surround ourselves with people who are in tune with their divine nature, we have an opportunity to help raise the energy and the vibration of those around us. It doesn't mean that you're going to convert everybody that you come into life, into being, quote, religious or spiritual. But your energy and your vibration can make a difference. So here's a little experiment for you. What a cutie. Sorry, I get distracted. I love the babies. Hi, beautiful. So those of you who don't have babies in your hands, I'm going to invite you to do something. I want you to start clapping. Keep clapping. What just happened there? It's called entrainment. And the reality is we're all doing that 100% of the time, whether we know it or not, whether we realize it or not. That we are actually attuning ourselves to the energy and the vibration of those around us. And we are attuning ourselves in such a way that if it's someone who is really on an energy vibration that's not necessarily healthy, that we will actually move ourselves into unhealthy places with them in order to try to stay connected with them. Any of you who are in recovery know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? And the other part of that is, if you are connecting with those who are moving in a positive direction, in a direction that moves them into more life. I use terms that maybe overuse them sometimes, but there are those who will be predominantly holding catabolic energy, and that's energy that is life depleting. And there are those in life that are moving in the direction of developing their anabolic energy, which is life enhancing energy. It doesn't mean that people are always in one state or the other, because I can assure you there are times that I'm definitely in catabolic energy. I know we all are, and sometimes. But there's a predominant level of energy that people hold. It's a predominant level. In Unity, we call it consciousness. That's a kind of a big word that really talks about energy. It's really about our thinking and our feeling and our emotions and the level at which we're holding those thoughts that really enhance our life and bring us more into an experience of our possibilities. And whether we realize it or not, we are entraining ourselves with people in our lives. And so one of the things that the quest asks you to do is to really think about and to look at who and what kind of energy are you holding for others, and what kind of energy are you also surrounding yourself with. And it's not to say that those around you who are habitually holding catabolic energy are bad. It just means that they are not in a place that you are. They're not in the place where you want to be. And you don't want to continue to hold energy with people who are not moving in the same direction that you're moving. Does that make sense? The other piece of that is, it's important to realize that it's not your job to move them into different energy. Because the moment you think that it's your job to move them into different energy, I got news for you. You just moved down into catabolic energy. Didn't you? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? We do. We want to rescue them. We want them to be really positive. We want them to be really up there. We want them to be the light. And the moment we move in to try and get them to be the light, we're no longer being the light. So it's not our job. It's not our job to get others to be the light, but to be the light, and then also draw to us those people who are also supporting us in doing that, but also those people that we can move into an awareness of holding them in that way so that they can take the steps that they need to take to move up. However, and one of the things Dr. Hawkins talks about is this, and I think there's some real truth in it, is that when someone is habitually into an energy that is not life-enhancing, and you're trying to get them to really be all light and love up here, that may be too big of a gap for them at that time. It may be too much for them to be able to try and make that jump. And our thinking and our expectation that they're going to do that is actually going to be counterproductive. It's going to actually help them to feel less than. And you don't want to hold people in that energy either, because that's not the truth. It's not the truth of you, and it's not the truth of them. And so our work is not to try and get people to jump up into being their full Christ nature, especially because the reality is we're all trying to plod one day at a time in that direction, right? And so our work is really to take incremental steps ourselves, to hold ourselves in a higher light, and then to hold them in a higher light. But if we find that they are in such close proximity to us that our energy is being pulled in a different direction, we do need to set up energy, I don't want to say barriers, because I don't really like that idea, but boundaries are really a healthy way of talking about it. Boundaries are one of the most loving things that we can do, both for ourselves and for others. And boundaries really have to do with not that I'm separate from you, but that I'm heading in a direction that I invite you to join me in, but I need to move ahead. I need to move forward. I need to move beyond this place. Does that make sense? And so, when we think about friendship and creating our spiritual support system, one of the things that we want to really focus on is an understanding that the things that I have done, you shall do also, and even greater things. And one of the things that we want to be able to do is to be able to claim our divine connection. And learn to claim that in ways that we're really vibrating from a place of knowing that we are expressions of a higher force, a higher energy. And it's important to recognize that what allows us to do that is the strength that we gain from those in our experiences as well. We gain that strength from within ourselves, but then we also attract to us those that are going to help support that. So if you think about it this way, there was a study done at Stanford University, it talks about it in our work. It had a group of students come together and take a test, and they scored the test for each one of them individually. And then it had the whole group come together, and it gave them a test, a similar test, and had the whole group take the test. And each one had the opportunity to help with the answers. And what they found was that the scores were significantly higher when the group took the test than when each individual took the test. There is a higher mind that is created when we come together in light consciousness for a purpose, and it's called a mastermind group. We have a group here that meets on Wednesdays, and it's a powerful way of really holding an awareness for each other and holding an energy and a vibration for each other that we sometimes are not able to hold individually for ourselves. There's a level of consciousness and a level of awareness that is available to us when we come together in that way that's not necessarily available to us individually. It's why we actually come here on Sunday mornings, whether we realize it or not. We are a divinely appointed mastermind group, prayer group, support group. We come here because of the energy and the vibration. We think it's because, as much as I love Leanne's music, it's fantastic. It's one of the pieces of the puzzle that lifts us higher. And it's not just because of the words that I say. The reality is most of the truth that you get are in between the words that I say. It's in the quiet moments because it's coming through you. And it's triggering, and it's sparking your own consciousness and your own awareness. And so the words that I'm saying here this morning, you don't come just for the words I say. You come because of the experience that comes through you in this experience of coming together. And you come together because of the energy of the people that are here, that are vibrating with you. And as we raise that energy and that vibration, we draw more people who are of like heart and mind, who are on this journey, who are ready to climb the mountain of consciousness. When you're climbing a mountain, how many of you have been mountain climbing before? Powerful experience, isn't it? It teaches you the importance and the power of friendship, doesn't it? So when you're climbing a mountain, be aware that you're tethered to each other. That means there's a string, there's a rope that's tied to each other. And when you climb a mountain, for a while, you may take the lead. And you may be the one that's going up the mountain, and you've got a string, a rope on you that is basically tying you to other people, and you are helping them to come up and being there for them if something should happen that you should fall. They're there to catch you, and vice versa. You're there to catch them. But you're not necessarily the one that's always taking the lead. Sometimes you have to switch off and you let someone else take the lead. You know, when birds fly, they fly, especially like geese and ducks, that you notice they fly in a V formation. And the lead person, the lead duck, if you want to call it that, the lead duck is out there and flying, and what that person is doing is actually creating a wake that allows the others in that V to actually fly with less energy and less power. And then that one does it for a while, and it goes to the rear and allows another one to take the lead. And that one then becomes the lead. And so that's what really friendship really does for us. It's not that we're always going to be the one who's taking the lead, but that we take turns to lift each other up. We take turns when I'm down, you're there for me to help me come up. But at the same time, when you're down, I'm there to help you come up. Does that make sense? But the reality is, even in that kind of formation, if you're not flapping your wings, you're not going to stay in the formation, right? So everyone has to do their own part, and that's true in all friendships. We do our own part, so it doesn't mean that we're all going to necessarily be the one that's doing all of the... No one can really walk your spiritual path for you is really the point that we're trying to make. So our assignment for this week, here's a little homework for you. I'm going to invite you to do some journaling. And this week I want you to really write about what's going on for you day by day, and divide each of your pages in your journal. And as you write down different things that are going on, put at the top of one page, supportive. And put at the top of the other side of the page, put not supportive. Or you could say, if you like my terms, anabolic, life enhancing, or catabolic, life depleting. Just take an inventory of those things and circumstances and people and situations that are really enhancing your life energy, that are moving you toward experiencing and expressing more of who and what you've come here to be. And it's a great exercise in helping you just get clarity of those things that are really feeding your soul, that are helping you to move into greater possibilities in life. And it's not that we're here to judge those things that are not supporting you, but you may want to look at doing more of those things that are being supportive of your soul, and diminishing and releasing some more of those things that are not really supporting that. And it's a very simple process, but it can be really very powerful. So if that's... this is your mission should you choose to accept it. It's not a mission impossible. It's a very possible mission. And so I invite you to have some fun with that this week. So let's move into our meditation time.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I hold it as fast as the slowest part of me wants to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy with myself. I will be easy with myself. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
So take a nice deep breath, breathing into the heart space. And as you breathe into that heart space, hold yourself like that newborn baby child. Hold your heart. And if there's a part of your heart that is crying now, just say to that gentle baby child, it's okay. I'm here for you. I love you. You're safe. And just imagine and feel and see yourself now surrounded. Feel that newborn baby child surrounded with those that are there to support that child, to nurture, to love, to hold in high self-regard. And now see that newborn baby child growing into a greater expression of its own possibility and potential. See it growing in the strength and the love and the care and the compassion and the joy to overcome difficulties, to be able to crawl out of the crib and to be okay when it gets put back into the crib. And see it grow into where it's old enough and mature enough and strong enough and clear enough to be able to walk across the street holding mom and dad's hand. See that beautiful child of light growing even stronger and surrounding itself with even more light, and being able to walk across the street without holding mom and dad's hand, be able to look both ways and be safe. See that child now also surrounding itself with those friends and support group who are there to say, wait, there's a car coming. Or go, it's time, we can go now. And see that child growing even more into a mature person who understands the importance and the value of the friends they have and the importance of honoring them and being a friend to them and being friended by them. And in your own heart and mind, affirm and see and know and give thanks that I have wonderful, supportive friends. Whether you know or feel that right now or not, affirm it as the truth of your nature, because it is the truth of your soul. I'm grateful for my amazing and wonderful, supportive friends. I thank God for these wonderful, amazing, supportive friends. I thank God that I'm able to be there as a friend for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit, for my amazing, wonderful, supported, and supportive friendship. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Take a nice deep breath. Take another nice deep breath and give thanks that you're not on this path alone. And so it is. Amen. Take a nice deep breath. Begin to stretch a little bit. Move around a little bit. Let that energy of comfort and gratitude fill you. And when you're ready, let your eyes be open and present here and now. And thank you for being a friend to yourself. Because you deserve it.